What's up, my people? As always, of course, Greg Panelli is late, but we're going to get rocket anyways, man. Let's go.
Intercepted. It is picked off by Eric Walker. Over midfield, he'll run it all the way into the end zone. Touchdown.
Cross Talk TV podcast. Peace. Welcome to QB Monday. This is Croc Talk TV. I will be joined with my guy, Greg Panelli. All right, we're going to talk about all things 49ers, the quarterback position. I also asked him, and he's been training quarterbacks on Sundays, so I'm not sure how much he had a chance to kind of watch some of the other guys, but I got to take on Mac Jones. I got some things because a fan tried to get at me yesterday about Mac Jones. I'm like, okay, hold on. We got to talk about this. All right, but definitely going to get into the 49ers, how Jimmy Garoppolo looked, maybe what Jimmy Garoppolo was thinking on a deep ball. It resulted in a touchdown, but it was kind of underthrown. Did he do it on purpose? I don't know. I'll ask Greg his opinion on that and more. So before we get started, make sure you guys, if you haven't already, subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit that like button. And I know a lot of you guys are in here. I don't got no beef with the 49ers, Croc, but y'all, the ops this week, let's go. Let's go. Hey, I'll be out there in Philly for the game too. If anybody else is going to be out there in Philadelphia for the game, man, make sure y'all holler at me. All right, I'll be out there trying to link up with my folks. All right, but with no further ado, I'm bringing on Greg Panelli. What's up, man?
What's up, Croc? How you doing, man?
Oh, man, I'm chilling. There we go. Got our background going up and everything. I was just live a few minutes ago, and it started getting a little heated in there, man. I had a couple people kind of going back and forth. I thought people were going to start sending off Twitter threats, but
there we go. Which one were you live on?
I was live on here. Just okay. not QB Monday, just a regular.
Right. Okay, I figured as much.
Yeah,
I can't keep up. You got a lot of things rocking.
I do. I mean,
this week. So congrats, by the way, because I don't think we didn't do QB Monday last week, but congrats on the new pod with the it's on the locked in.
The locked on draft.
Locked on that. Yep.
It's the locked on. So obviously I have the locked on 49ers show, which has been awesome. Really, it's crazy kind of how I got into this stuff, man. And I mean, you've kind of been there. We had like an hour-long conversation talking about your journey as a quarterback trainer and coach and things you were doing. When we were having that conversation, I was working in like a thing where I was delivering furniture and stuff, and also training athletes. And I remember you saying like, man, you do that training with the athletes is going to be big. I'm like, yeah, I want to get a spot. So I ended up now I'm about to build a 12,000 square foot sports performance facility out here in Arkansas. You guys see the Razorback, the hog stuff in the background. All right, I'm in hog country, and they love their Razorbacks.
Big win, by the way. Big win by the Hogs this weekend.
Knocked off Texas.
I know
Razorbacks 2-0.
One of my buddies is a Texas D-line coach, a grad assistant there.
Yeah.
He was talking on Friday about them being in the SEC and this and that, and how they just got a big-time DN recruit that they took from Alabama, and here they go out and play the first SEC team of the year and just get absolutely
destroyed
in the teeth.
Yeah, they got destroyed. But yeah, so I got the gym and everything going up, and I said, man, I got to start going harder with my podcast and stuff. So I created a YouTube channel, I created a Patreon account, and then one thing led to another, and boom, locked on 49ers, and that was awesome, especially from the financial standpoint. Kept pushing. Numbers on Locked On 49ers going up. And next thing you know, it was between me and a couple other guys, some big name guys, getting the opportunity to take over this draft show on the network. And I was like, oh, I need that. So, they waited on a couple guys, and next thing you know, they ended up settling with me and one other guy. So Locked On NFL Draft, that should be coming. We're supposed to record tonight, but I'm like, dude, we're not ready to record yet. So I'm trying to push them off another week. We'll see if I don't know.
There you go.
They want to just record, and I'm like, it's supposed to be on YouTube. I want everything to be set up right. Like I want to make sure I got the back end stuff down. So we'll see what goes on with that. But yeah, Locked On NFL Draft, Locked On 49ers. Make sure you guys listen to those, and also Croc Talk TV. Let's go, especially QB Monday. Absolutely. So we got some things to talk about finally with the 49ers, some things that make sense, especially with the quarterback position. And you have Jimmy Garoppolo out there, and he had a good, efficient game. Were you able to catch any of the game or all of it?
Yeah, I did. I watched. So I didn't get to watch all the quarterbacks. Obviously, I trained on West Coast time. I trained until about 12 o'clock. So yesterday I had the Niners game and the Bills game both on the phone, like split screen on my phone. And I was listening to it on the radio, like clicking back and forth between the two. And then I rewatched most of the first half of the Niners game when I got home yesterday. So I caught the second half, which, it wasn't.
It was weird. Yeah,
it was weird. Yeah, it was a weird second half. But yeah, I did get to catch the game.
So what were kind of your thoughts on kind of Jimmy Garoppolo's performance? Because there are a lot of people I see out there that are just saying like, well, he only did this because it's the Lions and the defense sucks, which may be the case. But just from the standpoint of how Garoppolo looked from an execution standpoint, what were your thoughts?
It goes back to what we've said. Like Jimmy did Jimmy things yesterday. He was on time with the ball. Right. So, like, first of all, the Lions they played a ton of zone defense. Yeah. Like, they literally just sat back, and I'd have to go back and, like, really rewatch their defense. But they were playing pretty soft. They'd show that 4-3 look or 4-4. They'd walk a guy down to the edge and blitz him sometimes. But there wasn't a ton of, like, man pressures. Or I didn't see a ton of even zone pressures, really. I almost let Jimmy kind of do his thing. And if you let a quarterback like Jimmy in an offense like the Niners have, sit back and you're going to sit back in his zone coverage, they're going to find ways to pick you apart. Shanahan's going to find ways to pick you apart.
Right.
Jimmy's experienced enough, obviously, to be to doing those things. And so those routes are, I mean, how many times did you see him off play action with his feet in rhythm, dump it right across the middle? He had Kittle, and he threw it to Debo, and everything was in rhythm for Jimmy. There was a couple throws where he evaded pressure and he threw it away, or he would get out of pressure, which he looked good. And so a lot of people, he took a sack there, or I remember he had a grounding call. But some of those movements that he did within the pocket were like really solid movements to avoid taking a sack, in whether he just threw the ball away or whatever it may be. Like, those are little things as a quarterback coach that I'll look at too, because we work on some of those things on the weekends. But overall, I think Jimmy did pretty damn good. The ball was popping out of his hand pretty good. Again, we keep it under 30 yards, 35 yards for Jimmy, and he looks like he can throw it with the rest of the NFL guys, right?
What did you think about the go route to Debo Samuel?
I knew that was going to be like the one focus, because it's like, here's the deep ball. They got man coverage. Debo's running like this little wheel or go route or whatever it was. And they said Jimmy got hit when he threw the ball. I went back and looked at it like 2 or 3 times, and I couldn't see the end zone camera just from what was up in the press box or whatever. The sideline camera, and it didn't look like he got hit as he was throwing the ball. I just think that it was a crappy pass overall. Like, he got lucky. I mean, in all reality, if you're going to throw a back shoulder ball and playing DB, a back shoulder ball doesn't come floating in like that.
Right. And it lands more towards out of bounds.
Right. It would be the high and away catch, toe tap, you're out of bounds type of thing. And it's more of like that 2-ball hard with an arc. Jimmy, I think he just choked it. Honestly, I think he got excited, saw Debo running man to man, and just choked it. He just missed it. Yeah. So that was my opinion. And we got lucky on it. A good DB probably would have picked it off. And as well as I do, even then, like, Debo made a great play on it. He stopped up and he made a great play on it. And quarterbacks get lucky sometimes. And so Debo turned it up. And I think I listened to the broadcast. It was the longest 49ers touchdown since 2019.
Yeah, it's been a couple years.
Yeah, so that was the longest touchdown we've had since 2019. So we clearly didn't have any deep balls again last year. So
yeah, no, when I was watching it, I was just like, from a cornerback's perspective, that's extremely difficult to defend.
Right.
When you have that ball and like you're running, especially because a lot of times with corners, this is why people think corners can't catch. The ball jumps up on you, right? Like, you are covering the guy. Uh-oh, I have an issue. Hold on. Let me switch my camera, guys. All right, here we go. So, hey, babe. Yeah. So a lot of times as a cornerback, the ball kind of jumps up on you, right? It's like I can be going and I get the ball around my head around. I don't even want to say late, but I get my head around the ball is already kind of mid-flight, if not even further. And I don't know, and a lot of things are going through a defensive back's head. It's like, well, I got to run with this guy. I got to cover. Like, what's my coverage? Okay, I'm turning. I'm running with him. Oh, damn, there's the ball. It's right there. And you got to try to react right now and catch it. And a lot of times they drop it. But guys don't understand, like receivers a lot of times, knowing the ball is coming, they kind of get to see the trajectory of the ball, and they get to watch it in a little bit more. On a play like that, where it was Jeffrey Okuda, who actually had like terrific coverage, he got in phase, but he didn't get his head around early. So now, as he's working to kind of get his head around, the ball is severely underthrown to the point where Deebo Samuel actually comes to a complete stop.
Right.
He has to come to like a complete stop vertically downfield. And for a DB, if you're not, why would a guy just stop? Like, you're not expecting that. So your momentum carries you forward. Deebo's able to catch the ball. But that's why I'm like, I don't know if Jimmy did that on purpose because he knows, like, hey, if I underthrow this ball really bad, that corner's not going to be able to stop. He's going to keep going upfield, and Deebo's going to be able to adjust to it because he sees the ball. He's going to be able to track it in sooner. I don't know if that was his thought process, but if it was, it definitely worked.
Right. No, and I honestly don't think it was just based off the trajectory. Like, in my opinion, I couldn't see him throwing a ball back shoulder like that with that type of trajectory where it absolutely took off and damn near looked like a punt, I would expect more of an earlier throw, I guess. As you know, most back shoulders are kind of earlier throws. But again, it's hard to defend as a DB because with a guy like Deebo pushing vertical, you're not going to turn back and look early. You end up doing that. I mean, unless you got the speed to do it, you're going to get probably taken off on.
Right.
Or, in that case, it was just like severely underthrown in my opinion. So, and I see the stat here, 5 of 5, 15 plus yards. Like I said, a lot of those throws too, it was the deep digs, like the deep 20-yard ends to Deebo in a soft spot in the zone where he was finding windows, Kittle, whatever it may be. I think Jimmy was on time yesterday. And like I said, when there's not man pressures and there's not tight coverage and you're going to let a guy like that sit back there and pick you apart, I mean, that's what they're going to do.
Yeah. Now, just from the standpoint of, did you see anything from Jimmy that you weren't necessarily expecting to see? Like, obviously he was efficient. I think that was the one thing that kind of stood out to me because Garoppolo week ones have not been great. Week one, his first time starting the week one for the 49ers against the Minnesota Vikings a few years ago, threw 3 interceptions and had a pick 6. Right. Garoppolo in 2018 had threw a pick 6 to Vernon. Was it Vernon Hargreaves? Yeah, Vernon Hargreaves, the corner that was at Florida playing for Tampa, threw a pick 6 to him. 49ers won, but it was really 2 pick 6s that the 49ers got from Sherman and Witherspoon that really changed the game, and the 49ers ended up winning by 2 scores. And then you look at last year, and the 49ers come out and they lose week 1, right? So we're talking about him. His record week 1 up to that point with the 49ers had been like 1-3 or something like that.
Right.
And the games just looked real choppy. And then, boom, yesterday, I thought the most impressive thing for me was just to see him come out and be in the rhythm and be able to execute and be able to make the throws. And you talked about those deep in routes and those deep over routes and completing those 15-plus yard passes. I think those are the things that you really want to see from Jimmy. Complete the passages like that you're supposed to complete downfield that are there to be had because we've seen him kind of be inconsistent with that. Now, I think with Jimmy Garoppolo, we look at him and people kind of react certain ways about Trey Lance and him, is he on target with his throws? And we saw Jimmy kind of miss on some throws. There was a couple slant routes behind Deebo, low to Deebo that should have been routine pitch and catches, and he missed on those type of things. Do you think those are things that's just Jimmy and we'll continue to see those kind of simple misses throughout the season?
I think we might, but I think it was just trying to get the ball out and rushing things a little bit. Like some of those first window throws, I remember there was one where he basically took it 1 step and tried to get it to Deebo in like a quick little slam, and he missed him completely low. It was like an easy pitch and catch that Deebo would have took off with, and he missed it. So I think it's just rushing it. Probably, you take the snap, you don't really have your hand on the ball the right way because you're trying to rush it, and he just threw it and it came out crappy. But, I think that's another part of Jimmy's game that I think is underrated. is his ability to take a snap and get the ball out quickly in those first windows. And if you look, like he made a couple throws to Kittle yesterday. There was one of them where it was like a slant route, like an in route in a tight window. And he has no fear in throwing those balls. And a lot of quarterbacks might skip that first window and try and go to the second. But then you got obviously middle linebackers and safeties that you got to worry about. And Jimmy throws those balls. I mean, he actually throws them really well, in my opinion. So I thought overall, considering with what he did, he was pretty efficient. He was on time, threw well with velocity yesterday, threw good layered balls. The one that obviously sticks out is that fade ball. If we can get some sort of consistency on the deep ball, I think that Jimmy Garoppolo would be completely fine. Now it'll be interesting to see what happens against the Eagles. I'd have to watch some film on the Eagles and see how they're running with what their base defense looks like this year, and if they're going to do some man pressure. I would expect them to give Jimmy more pressures than what the Lions did.
Yeah, I think he faced like 2 pressures all game.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, they had a 4-man rush, sometimes 5, and the Niners had it pretty well protected yesterday. So I'm expecting the Eagles to probably come after him a little bit more. But obviously with guys like Kittle, with guys like Debo, with the running backs that we have, even Sanu and Ayuk and Sherfield, I mean, all those guys have the ability to take the ball upfield after the catch. And as well as I do, when you start doing man pressures or even zone blitzes, you're vulnerable on the back end with the defense, especially with guys like Ayuk and Debo. So I'm interested to see how the Eagles are going to play him. I'm not sure how long Mostert's going to be out. It sounds like it's a knee injury. I don't know the extent of it. Have they come out with the extent of it yet?
I haven't seen anything yet. Well, there will probably be some kind of press conference today that'll give more information on that.
Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, the rookie we have, he did pretty good yesterday. He had a couple strong runs, which was nice to see. So if they can keep the run game rolling, it makes life a lot easier on Jimmy. Makes those play actions work a lot better. Things are going to be open across the middle because it sucks those linebackers up. And Jimmy does a really good job at play action, and Kyle does a really good job at those calls. So what you're seeing, what you saw yesterday, Niners offense and rhythm, I think was it goes back to that 2019 season where it was just consistent. Football.
And that's ideally what you're going to need for Jimmy Garoppolo to be successful.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. If you don't have that, if he doesn't have that run game and it's pushed into his hands, you're going to start to see Jimmy where he's going to get a little happy feet in the pocket. You're going to get more of those pressures. You're going to get and Jimmy's not the running type of quarterback, obviously, that we've seen, or a true dual threat quarterback, like Kyler and Josh and Mahomes and all these other guys that have the ability to do those things. So I'm looking forward to next week. I think it's going to be a good test. I think it'll be a better test, and we'll get a better idea of what Jimmy's going to be about this year heading into the next couple of weeks.
We've been on for almost 20 minutes, and we haven't talked about Trey Lance yet. And, he came in first throw as a pro, first attempt, and it resulted in being a touchdown. And I've said before, and you've kind of mentioned it too, where Trey Lance to get better and especially throw with more touch or with a tighter spiral is like when he's not rushing, when he's not pressing. And we saw that play where they did the little fake stuff and it was just a nice, easy read for him. And you see when he is able to kind of see it and it's in rhythm and he throws it, it looks really good. Obviously, it was a routine play, but clearly we've seen more other routine plays where he just completely misses.
Right,
so he didn't miss, threw it, ended up being a touchdown, and that was the only that was the only pass of the game. Now, what they did on another 2 or 3 plays, they just did some things where they just kind of ran them to get a couple yards.
Yep.
My thing with that is I'm trying to figure out if he wasn't really a part of the game plan. Kyle said he really wasn't a part of the game plan. He just kind of threw him in there, right? A few different times. It was just like, I don't think there was really any real game plan because
remember the first drive, right? Second drive because we fumbled the ball on the first drive. But
technically, yeah.
Second, let's call it the first true drive of the game for the Niners, and he put him in there down in the red zone, and which I was kind of surprised to see right away. I was hey, Jimmy's driving down the field, we're going on the field, and boom, Trey Lance is in the game a couple times and throws the first touchdown pass of the game.
And it was, I mean, just the fact that he was throwing it, because I think everybody, including the Lions, I think they also thought he was running the ball. If you look at like all the linebacker kind of like their front seven, they're all just staring at Trey Lance like, okay, where's he trying to run to? What is he going to fake? What exactly is he trying to do? But he ended up throwing it. Wide open guy. If he would have waited a tick longer, he also had Deebo Samuel, who is kind of running this kind of little over route. Right. He was going to be wide open. And I think that's the benefits of having a guy who can do so much, that you can utilize in a bunch of different ways, especially down there in the red zone. Like, it's going to freeze guys' eyes. It's going to freeze linebackers. It's going to freeze ends. They can't crash down the same way that they would do against a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo. So we'll continue to see how he's utilized. I think there were a lot of people that had issue with just the 2-quarterback system in general. When I was watching it, I didn't look at it. My thought process on this, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, you don't win a Super Bowl in week 1. No. So just because something looks a certain way week 1, and it really sounds like it wasn't truly a game plan for it, like I can see areas where like they can improve with how they utilize the 2 quarterbacks. Maybe they use them more, maybe they use them less, but whatever it is, they have things that they want to build on and start to get better at, because as the season goes on, the games get bigger. Week 3, you play against the Packers. They got blown out the other day, but first home game of the season, Packers are going to come out. They're going to be hyped up. Aaron Rodgers is going to be ready to play in the Bay Area. And, you're going to want to be sharp if you decide to use Trey Lance, whether it's as a runner or a passer. I do think it also helps to kind of throw him out there because it just gives teams more to think about, more to worry about. Okay, you're going to have to game plan for this. You're going to have to game plan for that. Now you can't game plan for everything. And Kyle's going to do different things and continue to add to Trey Lance. Do you expect him to bring him in but still utilize him more as a passer? Because I think that's what a lot of people are worried about.
I think he will. And I told you, when we saw the 2-quarterback package, what was it, game 3 of the preseason, where they really kind of unloaded it a little bit.
Yeah.
Prior to that, I said I didn't think there was going to be something built in for Trey Lance within the first couple of weeks. And then they ended up throwing him in yesterday. Did they have to? Absolutely not. They could have just kept him on the sidelines and probably done something similar, right? But because the pass play worked, the run plays, not so much, and it's just basic inside zone reads, quarterback runs or whatever it may be that were, 1 or 2 yards a pop or something like that. So I think that Kyle's just trying it out just to see what kind of works and see how it was or how it looked on film against the ones. But I think that it opens up a whole new red zone offense approach. I think that with Trey's running abilities, Trey's passing abilities, it's going to be very hard to play both quarterbacks defensively, or to defend both quarterbacks when you're down there in the red zone, because one play you got Jimmy in there, you could go power run, and then you can go power run with Trey Lance and do the same damn thing, and the next play you got Trey Lance doing his thing with the inside zone stuff, and you're going to have to keep linebackers in the box a little bit longer because of that more of that spy look, I guess. And Trey can flip his hips and let it rip. So I think that he will start throwing the ball a little bit more. I do think in the red zone it's going to be something utilized probably more than the middle of the field until basically, like we said, until Jimmy proves that he's not the guy. And if Jimmy does what he did yesterday, Jimmy will be – I'm a firm believer Jimmy will be the guy the whole season if he does what he did yesterday.
Right.
And I think that everybody else watching the game yesterday would agree. Because of the efficiency. Yesterday, he ran the offense very well. So I think that Trey Lance will get his opportunities. I think he's going to start throwing the ball a little bit more. But, again, Shanahan's not going to throw him in there if it's not needed. And I don't think that even in mop-up time that Shanahan's just going to say, here, go run up. God forbid we do have some mop-up time, but I don't think Shanahan's going to just throw him in there and unload part of that playbook with Trey Lance. That they're probably going to keep for a big-time game. So I would say if it's a close game this week, we'll probably see some of it, and I think we'll probably see a lot of it at home against the Packers, assuming the Packers will probably show up ready to go against the Niners. But we've always said that they're going to show up ready to go against the Niners, and the Niners have kind of owned them. So I don't want to jinx anything.
You see this coming here, and he says that third down run was terrible, and I think it was like a 3rd and 2.
Right.
This is my thing. Like, I think it's easy to call something terrible when it doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it was just a read option play, and I thought the Lions defended it well. there's going to be opportunities to do that, and it could be that same play call in the same situation, but maybe somebody lose their containment, somebody lose the edge. Trey pulls in, runs big, and then now it's going to be like, oh, that's a great call on 3rd and 2. You know, so I don't want to say it's a terrible pass. Obviously, like the execution of it lacked somewhere. That's why it just got stuffed for like no gain or whatever it was, and they ended up having to punt it. I think my bigger, I don't want to say issue with just that. It's just like the usage of having two quarterbacks, where you have a guy like Garoppolo who have been very efficient and throwing well within what he was asked for, and you have a 3rd and 2, and ideally that's a great situation to be able to run or pass. And with Garoppolo, you expect him to be able to execute and get the ball wherever it needs to be in that type of situation. And Garoppolo's been money on 3rd downs. Really, most of the time he's been with the 49ers, and especially against a Lions team that looked like they were at a disadvantage all game for the most part until like the last few minutes or whatever. But that's more of my issue with that. I don't mind the play call. Okay, it didn't work, whatever. But it's more just of trying to force a quarterback situation where you would like to have Jimmy in there. I'm pretty sure Jimmy's like, man, I've been on fire. Like, now you want to pull me out? Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure Drew Brees thought some of the same things what he's been going through the last couple of years with Taysom Hill.
Right. And then yesterday, you didn't even see Taysom Hill really.
Right. I think I saw him a little bit in the red zone.
A couple times in the red zone, right? Which I think is how they're going to utilize Trey Lance for the time being, because of the throw threats and the run threat combined, where you're able to influence defenders in the middle. And in the red zone, what do you see? A lot of stick routes, a lot of pick plays, double slants, things like that, where if you see a quarterback open up and show that ball to the running back, what are you doing as a linebacker? Now you're frozen for a split second because you're thinking it's run, or maybe you're taking a step or two to the line of scrimmage, and the quarterback flips and he puts it on him right now. That's the threat that you give, which when Jimmy's in there, you know damn well he's not pulling the ball and taking it around the corner. Not necessarily. So I would expect to see it more so in the red zone than I would probably in the middle of the field. And then there might be these short yardage things on 2nd and 1 or, 3rd and 1 type of thing where they might throw him in there. But it'll be interesting to see, especially in tight games, what they're really going to do if Jimmy's in a groove, how they're actually going to utilize Trey.
All right. So we have a couple questions in here. It looks like everybody's kind of focused more on the defense today. But it says, can we please try to trade a CB ASAP? Ayuk or Armstead for a solid CB or trade a D lineman? And my thing is, why are we trading Ayuk? Like, because I get it. He didn't have any targets yesterday. And we talked about this on Croc Talk TV. But I'm not just trading. First of all, I'm not trading Ayuk. But I'm definitely not trading him. And I think we're seeing a little bit of this. Like an overreaction from a week 1 game, right? Like what the 49ers look like in week 1 right now with everybody, they can have the same exact roster. But what they look like now, just like the rest of the league, is not what they're going to look like week 17, week 18, or heading into the playoffs, all right? The way that Kyle Shanahan kind of evolves with this offense and with his personnel, it's going to change throughout this year. And he's going to figure out things and be able to get guys into a different rhythm. Even the 2-quarterback system, like that's going to get him more of a rhythm. How he's going to run things or whatever with Trey Lance, and he's going to figure all those things out. But I think right now, even with the defense or whatever, a defense that had held a team to 10 points until like the 4th quarter, and then you start having some injuries, you start getting some guys gassed, they get an onside kick back, get a pass interference on the 1-yard line, and these weird things start happening. Now all of a sudden it's like, oh, the defense is terrible. D'Amico Ryans can't coach. And I'm like, nah, dude, like D'Amico Ryans was fine. He was fine for 3.5 quarters. Some weird things started happening, personnel issues. We'll see what they do at the cornerback position. But I think just in general, I wouldn't overreact to a team that scored 41 points on the road.
Right.
And most of that game was completely dominant. Are there areas the 49ers can get better? Sure. They got gashed in the run game. Got to figure that out. You would like to get Javon Kinlaw in there. Maybe there's things that they can coach up, but I would much rather really that type of win right now, especially having to go on the road again next week to Philadelphia. I'd rather that type of win and any other type of win, because you see a lot of the good. You see what you're doing. First of all, you scored 41 points. You see a lot of the good that you're doing to make plays and have a game like that. But then with the team kind of making this weird comeback that wasn't really a comeback, but it kind of was. When you see that happen, it gives you a lot to coach up, and it keeps your team humble, right? Like, look what we did when they started coming back. This, and this. Okay. Now Dante Johnson, you're part of this whole week in game planning, or Josh Norman, or whoever it is. But I think it's going to get the 49ers a little bit sharper for the Eagles. I don't know. What are kind of your thoughts on what you saw overall from the game?
I agree. Like I said, the second half was weird. The one thing I do want to see more of from the Niners, and it goes back even to the Super Bowl, is just closing games out. Like Shanahan, I think, when we're up, but like when we're up and it's a little bit tighter, like, really figuring out how to close a game out, put the nail in the coffin type of thing, which we should have done in the Super Bowl, which we could have done against plenty of other teams. Like yesterday, they should have absolutely done it. And it was weird yesterday, where they started kind of making this comeback in like the middle of the third, and the Niners were still up plenty. You forced Goff into some positions to throw the ball that he didn't want to be in. But I think that, with some of the injury stuff, I think with some of the DBs, like that's always been the question, like the DB. And finally, we got some good DB play. I saw yesterday. Which one got hurt yesterday?
Jason Verrett.
Yeah. Okay. So then they were saying, well, Shanahan's been in talks with Sherman, right? Or bringing Sherman back, which I don't know. I like Richard Sherman a lot. But, with what we've seen from Sherman is, if he's healthy, he's great when he plays that zone defense. When somebody takes a vertical and they play like that 3-match stuff, nobody was really challenged them until we got to see basically like the Chiefs do it. And they play a vertical, and then what happens when they play that 3-match?
Yeah.
It's not good. So I don't know what's going to happen with Sherman if he does come back. I think that another DB would be nice to have. I don't know if you want to trade Ayuk for another DB. Armstead's obviously pretty heavy on the payroll, so I don't know what's going to happen with that. But Ayuk, I think, still has plenty to offer to the 49ers, especially with Deebo Samuel on the other side and Kittle. I would like to see, like I told you, I'd like to see a big-time receiver out there, a huge red zone type of threat, or a 6'3", like basically like a DK Metcalf type of guy.
Yeah,
with a big physical receiver. I think if we add that on offense, I mean, our offense is as efficient as it is right now. I think that opens a door for a whole new world essentially for the 49ers offense. But you got to have somebody that can throw in the deep ball if you do that. So we'll see what happens. But, and that was the funny thing is I watched yesterday multiple games. I started seeing the replays last night. You're watching Russell Wilson chuck it down the field. And you're watching even Rodgers, as crap easy, but you watch him throw it down the field. Or you watch other guys, Goff, throw it down the field. And the deep ball just looks so crisp.
Yeah.
And you're just like, damn, we have not seen that in San Francisco in so long. And it would be beautiful to see it.
Okay, so got to get into this a little bit, and I actually think this guy is a pretty good deep ball thrower, but I have made some comments on Mac Jones. I think that was a polarizing conversation throughout the entire offseason.
Mm-hmm.
And I think fans, and I see this whether it's with my take on Jamar Chase, whether it's my take on Mac Jones. I think people confuse like an analysis and like, I don't even want to say constructive criticism, but when you're giving your analysis or you're analyzing a prospect, you talk about all the good that he does and all the bad that he does, right? Like the pros and cons of this player.
Right.
And, you talked about like you would like to see the 49ers like really just stretch the field and be more explosive and have that type of guy. With Jimmy Garoppolo, that's not really his game, right? Like Jimmy's game is timing, rhythm, get the ball out right now, catch and run opportunities. And I watched Mac Jones, and he threw 40 passes yesterday, something like that. And he completed like a high percentage. I'd say he probably completed 29 out of 39 passes, something like that. But it wasn't like he didn't have 300 yards. So like there wasn't like the explosive plays. right? It was a lot of what we see from Jimmy Garoppolo. And that was kind of my analysis on Mac Jones. I thought that Mac Jones was a good quarterback, and he's efficient, and he's a great ball distributor. I did not think that he would create, obviously, like those off-scripted plays. I think he has to play a certain style, which is fine. You can win like that. But I don't think you want to have to win like that. With Jimmy Garoppolo, you have to win like that, right? Like Jimmy Garoppolo has to win a certain way, like you said, kind of lean a little bit more on the run game. I don't even know if Mac Jones needs that, but just getting the ball out right now, occasionally potentially taking a shot, but you're not going to see him really kind of create the big plays. Because I say something like that about Mac Jones or even Jimmy Garoppolo, a lot of people assume I just don't like those guys. I'm like, that's not true. I just would rather have a more explosive quarterback. And that's not to say that this guy is better than that guy or that this guy's going to have a much better career than the other guy. I'm just saying what I would like and what I would like to coach up. And for me, and I'm looking back at that 2018 draft, and I'm like, well, I see Josh Allen and what he potentially can be. Okay, I see this other guy in Baker Mayfield. Like, I'm going with Josh Allen because of what the upside is. And hey, maybe he doesn't reach that. Maybe Baker Mayfield doesn't reach his. We've seen it go both ways. But I would like to have somebody that just has more explosive playability. And that's not to say that it's going to result in wins or whatever it is, but that's what I would like to see. And I think people they like jump on this thing where they think you just think somebody sucks,
right?
Because you would rather have this person than that person. So right. No, I would rather have Trey Lance.
Talking that a lot. Like, don't get me wrong, I like Jimmy Garoppolo, but I think that there's other quarterbacks out there, and I have an idea who it was. And I'll ask you. This is going off script here. If there's a quarterback in the NFL right now that you could take and put on the 49ers offense, anybody in the NFL right now, who would it be?
Wait, if there was a quarterback, say that again?
In the NFL, current quarterback in the NFL that you could take and plug and play into the 49ers offense right now, who would it be?
Patrick Mahomes.
Mahomes?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that I think a lot of people would say that, obviously. And you look at guys like, I think about Rodgers. Right? I have a bunch of buddies that are Packers fans. And, you know, if going back to Ayuk didn't have any targets. Well, I don't want to get caught up on the one game thing. If that was the case, Zeke Elliott, Derrick Henry, Aaron Rodgers would all be traded tomorrow, right? Like,
right.
They didn't, Josh probably be traded tomorrow. Like, they didn't all.
Trevor Lawrence.
Like, we're going to ship them all off, right? So I don't want to get too caught up in the one game thing. But I do think that and not a shot at Jimmy, that if we had a quarterback that could throw the deep ball, could stretch the field, make a little bit better decisions. I think if you plug and play Aaron Rodgers into the Niners offense, the possibilities are endless, especially with the defense that we've had the last couple of years. I would say they'd probably win 2 or 3 Super Bowls, realistically, because of the offense, the way that they'd be able to operate it. But, you know, a guy like Josh, which Trey Lance could be very similar to him, where he's got a strong arm. He's got the ability to run and stretch the field. Pat Mahomes, ability to get out of trouble when it happens, and then chuck it downfield. So it'll be interesting to see, I think, over that period of time, whether Jimmy does great this year and continues on the path that he's on, or if he gets shaken up a little bit and they do throw Trey in there. I think that Trey has those abilities to make those throws, the Pat Mahomes types of throws, the Rodgers throws. He can stretch the field. But when we'll see it and how long it's going to take to see it, I don't know. Right. And like I said, if they don't have to, they're not going to do it. We're not going to win 4 or 5 games out of the 6 starting out and just throw in Trey Lance just to see what he's got. Right. You know, if he doesn't have to play this year and they're winning games, then he's not going to play. But I think he does have those abilities to make those extra plays, to go off script and things like that.
I see this comment here, and he says, will Shanny allow any QB, Jimmy or Trey, to create or freelance on their own? And I would say yes. I wouldn't even call it freelancing. Like Kyle Shanahan and really every offensive coordinator in the league has when they call a play, like they want their play call executed. You know what I'm saying? Like if they draw it up like this, okay, we want you to get the ball out right here. But sometimes it just doesn't work out the way you plan, right? So you got to go to plan B. Some quarterbacks don't have a plan B. It's like, hey, it's either plan A or I'm going to have to try to figure out if I can throw this ball away or I'm going to end up getting sacked.
Right.
There are other quarterbacks where when it does break down like that, it's like, all right, like I'll just go to plan B. And they can start moving around. They can move to throw the ball downfield. We saw with Patrick Mahomes on like a 75-yard touchdown to Tyreek Hill yesterday. That was outside the pocket. Whatever the initial play was, and then Tyreek Hill starts moving in, and Patrick Mahomes moves in. He just chucks it up there, and Hill makes a play, catches it, then goes the other way and scores a 75-yard touchdown. Kyle would not say, you know what, Mahomes, I don't want you doing that. I don't think that's how it works. I think it works where it's like, hey, this is how the play is drawn up. I would like you to create within the context of this play call. But if things go south and plays break down, I would like you to be able to make a play on the move. So I think I don't think he would encourage freelancing in the sense of, hey, every play just go make something happen, go play backyard football. But I don't think he would mind if a guy moves to make a play.
Right. And I'll go on just to touch on that really quick. I think that, and I'm not sure if he means, I get the freelance part of it, or create freelance on your own as far as extending plays and kind of doing your own thing within the midst of a play. But also, the offensive coordinator or Shanahan will call a play, and typically within that play, for experienced dudes, but even most cases in the NFL, there's another play that's built into that, in certain situations, or a lot of situations where they might call one play and then they'll say, you hear them say kill, 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 or they'll have a word. And that kill means, in some cases that kill is they're killing the first play, and now they're going to the second play that is attached to that first play. That is something completely different, because the quarterback gets up to the line of scrimmage and sees a defense that doesn't necessarily fit what they wanted to do with that first play. So they say kill, 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 and they'll change it, or they'll see him change their protections. And you'll see some of it with Jimmy. I don't expect to see it with Trey. Like Trey's plays that are going to be called for now in that 2 quarterback package are going to be plays specifically for Trey Lance to do some zone read stuff. And until he throws the ball downfield a little bit more, actually drops back and throws the ball, maybe we'll see a little bit. But I don't think that Shanahan's necessarily going to put that where he'll give him the abilities to do the kill plays and changing of plays. But I think Jimmy will obviously have those abilities. And I think as an offensive coordinator in the NFL or a head coach, you want a quarterback to be able to. If you don't have a quarterback that can actually read and recognize and kill plays and change the plays based off of what the defense is giving you, or change protections, you really don't have an NFL quarterback at that point.
Right. And he says he was talking more about backyard football, which kind of is alluding more to my original fact, which is nobody wants their guy just playing backyard football, like no quarterback in the NFL. But if push comes to shove and everything breaks down, then if you have the ability to make an off-script play, then make that play. But no coach wants his quarterback to make a living having to try to play like that. Right. We've seen Russell Wilson kind of do that for a lot of his career. It's just not ideal.
Kyler Murray did it yesterday. He's scrambling around for
that was crazy.
But that, like, if you think about it, at the end of the day, that's just not Jimmy Garoppolo. He won't be able to run around for that long. It's not. Those other guys are like the Madden quarterbacks, or just the speedsters, and you run around the pocket and you just chuck it downfield. Like, Jimmy doesn't have those abilities, nor would you really want Jimmy Garoppolo doing that. So, and again, a lot of the plays that are set up for Jimmy are scripted, on-time, play-action pass over the middle, and it works off of the run game. You would be forced to see him do, or he would be forced to be doing those things if our run game's not necessarily working. And you go look at other quarterbacks in the NFL that had to do that stuff this weekend. They didn't have the run game really working for them as much. So they had to make those off-script type of throws or plays where somebody's bailing out for them and creating some space between defenders.
So what I want to know is, what are you looking most forward to the 49ers against the Eagles? What are you looking forward to see from just the quarterback position? Maybe a game like what we just saw from Jimmy Garoppolo, or do you want to see them stretch the field? Do you want to see Trey Lance utilized in a different way? Or do you think, just what we just saw was fine?
I think I think a lot of people would say what we just saw was fine because it was efficient, right? Jimmy, what was he? 17 for 25, right? That's pretty efficient in the NFL. I think a lot of people truly do want to see Trey Lance in there and chuck it downfield just because. But And I think that they could have the ability to do it based off what they showed yesterday with Trey Lance, more so running the ball and staying within, within the box. They could do some zone read right off the bat and then have somebody go deep over the top. I mean, I wouldn't discount it.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily. I would rather see that with Jimmy again, just to show us, okay, yeah, he can do it. Like, let's just see Jimmy rip a post that is in front of a receiver 50 yards downfield. That's what I really want to see. And if he can't do it, then it's going to just continue on this conversation of, okay, well, he can do everything else underneath 35 yards and under. You start stretching the field like that. Now we're limited. So teams don't necessarily have to play as deep at safety because you're not really going to be stretching the field as much. But Jimmy's game is, I think, like I've said it over and over, Jimmy's game is everything underneath the safeties, I think, finding holes within those defenses, soft spots within the zone defenses. If they come out in a man look against the Niners and do some man pressures, you're going to start to see Jimmy have to make some decisions or create his own plays, but making decisions a little bit quicker or avoiding some of those pressures. So it'll be interesting to see how he does this upcoming week. But I'm excited to see it. Hopefully he continues on the path that he's on. I wouldn't mind seeing some play action over the top first play of the game just because. But, we know that's not necessarily Shanahan's game. If I had to bet on it, I would say it's going to be outside zone or fake outside zone boot and dump it off to Kill or something like that on the flat.
Right. All right, man. Shoot. So, hey, everybody, if you guys are be in Philadelphia, I'll be there this weekend. I'll actually be in New York Thursday and Friday, and then I'm going out to Philly on Saturday. If you're not already, make sure you guys subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit that like button as well. I'll be joining John Chapman and some other guys. He got like a whole 49ers rush thing on the road, so we'll be there at I forgot what the hotel. I forgot the name of the hotel is, but we'll be there this weekend, man. Tapping with John Chapman, man. He got the tickets and everything like that. But until next time, man, I'll see you next Monday.
All right, Croc.
All right, Greg. All right, y'all. Peace.
Intercepted. It is picked off by Eric Walker. Over midfield, he'll run it all the way into the end zone. Touchdown.
Croc Talk TV podcast. Peace.